Right, here's a scheppach 3, Basa 3 that I ordered. It's got the Vario drive on it, and I picked this up from Screwfix. Well, it got delivered from Screwfix. So I thought I'd point a few things out to you about the Basa 3 and a bit of information as to why I selected it. You can see down at the bottom is a stand that came with the saw, which actually made it quite easy to assemble because you lay the saw down in the box that it came with, constructed the stand, bolted it to the stand to the saw, and then lifted it up. Looking here, you can see that a handle came with it as well, a bit like a starting handle on an old car, and moves in and out, and it can be taken all the way out as well, and it's useful. You can pick that up and then it'll travel on the wheels that again came with the overall package. The Vario drive is controlled by a handle down here, and you turn it clockwise to slow it down and anti-clockwise for full speed. I've not fully tried that piece out yet, but we'll cover that later on. If we want to open the unit up to change a blade, we'll have a look inside just to show you what it's like. Slight problem here, this screw takes some screwing to get it all the way out, and then the closure on the top one here. Open it up, and there's a useful little device here which stops the door closing. One of the aspects of the saw that made me question it when I first got it was, to the eye, it looks like the whole unit is leaning forward. You can see the sort of arch in the back that provides a strength to the saw, but if you look here, this bit down here, it looks like it's sloping down, and everything looks like it's sloping down until you look at the blade and it's all vertical. It's got quite a large capacity, the saw is. I'm sure you can read the specifications on that. But looking inside, you've got the top wheel here, the guides are brought up and down by the knob round the side here. You've got also on the saw quick release handle here to release the tension in the blade. I understand some people like to release the tension on the blade when they finish using it to stop getting a flat spot in the wheel. And you've got a tensioner knob here to tension the blade up. Down at the bottom you can see the pulleys and the wheels, and in here is the Vario drive part. When you wind the handle, this wheel moves down and slows the unit down. On the door here, this part here, with the door open the saw won't start, and this is a piece which fits into the slot here, which stops the electric to the motor, so you can't start it with the door open. So to close the door, remove this here, push it back. It's quite stiff, which is useful. Close the door, and again you can see, I don't know if it shows on the video, but the slope on the top here. If I were to put a spirit level on, you can see there's quite a gap to bring it level, but the actual blade itself is vertical. Let's take a closer look at the bearings. This saw can take down to 1/8 of an inch blade, And the reason why, if I go in close to the guide, you can see they're not ball bearings that you often find on bandsaws. They're actually flat plates. And the recommendation in the book is on the back blade guide that the blade actually touches that. And as you can see, I've used it and it's a little bit shiny on the edges. Then I don't know if you can see in closely, they've got similar plates here on the bearing guide, which again are flat, they're not roller bearings. They're very easily adjusted by slackening off the thumb screws here and moving them in and out. As you can see, little flecks on the blade there. And that part I'm very pleased with. It's I wanted something with a blade that would go down to 1/8 of an inch, because I cut some small models out, and having a bandsaw that will cut larger stock, resawing, and also be able to go down to a small blade smaller than 1/4 inch to get a tighter bend is what I was looking for. The table here is cast iron. That's very heavy. When you assemble it, you feel the weight of this, and it comes wrapped quite well, greased, so you've got to clean it all off. I like the ribbed nature of it because you get some sawdust that sits in the grooves, and it actually keeps the stock quite level. Although it feels rough across the top, it is quite level. You've got here the insert, which has got a few holes in to allow the sawdust to come through. Dust collection, I'll talk more about that maybe in a later video. It's got a 4-inch port, 100mm port down at the bottom there, which I've not connected up yet. I'm waiting for an adapter to come. So this is an initial video. Parallel fence here. You've got your graduated millimeters guide here, with on the top a magnification showing you where you are. That's quite good. The one point that people may criticise a saw for is it's only got a single lock here on one side. There is nothing on the other side, but that's very rigid, that is, because one of the points of having a locking mechanism on the other side of the table, in my opinion, is that unless it's a very good saw, when you clamp it, you can't always guarantee that it is 90 degrees to the blade along there. So I quite like this. It's not very much of a movement on the handle here to lock it off, and this is very sturdy, even though it's only got a single lock. This is an interesting part here. To change the blade, you've got to take the parallel fence off. Comes off quite easily, and then underneath undo these 4 wing nuts, and this, the actual fence part here, actually folds out. If I do that quickly, just loosen these off, loosen off the wing nuts underneath here, and you can see this swings out, and it's got the notches in there, and then it allows you to get the blade change there. Put that back in, just quickly tighten those up, and there we are, and it's all fastened back up. So the blade change is normal for a bandsaw. Those are the parts. There's a few little bit you have to open up this guide here to get the blade out in the front, but there's a nice scale on the guide here. So in addition to the parallel fence, it comes complete with a miter saw fence, So one of the criticisms you often get is that once these are in, can't get in it, there we go, once they're in you get a little bit of movement, rock on here. Now you can hear that tiny bit of movement, that's very, very small. Yeah, it's going to make, you know, half a mil difference, few thou, but in general it's more the rattle there is caused through it going up and down, not through the fen rattling. It's actually quite a very good fit in that slide, which is surprising because the cost of this saw, it was about £440, and I managed to get a 10% discount through a voucher from Screwfix, and after ordering it came about 3 days later on a pallet, wooden pallet, in a large box. And the saw itself does weigh an awful lot. Even two people would struggle to pick this thing up, it's very heavy. But overall first impressions, I'm very pleased with it. The on and off buttons here are actually very solid. Often I've come across these where these are a little bit flimsy, but these are a lot more positive than other ones. If I turn the saw on, standard noise, you don't need ear protectors on it, it's not that noisy, although the instruction booklet does tell you to wear eye and ear protection. The instruction manual, if I've got a criticism of this saw, it's the instruction manual. There are some pictures at the front of the manual and then a table telling you in the steps to how to assemble it, but it is not the best instruction manual I've found in the world, and it's worthwhile being a bit of a DIY person to ensure that you can put the thing together. In addition to the stand that the saw is on, they provide you with, as part of the tools, they provide you with 2 Allen keys. They also provide you with these little L plates, and these L plates are to connect the saw if you wanted to fasten it to a wooden plinth or something else other than the stand that it came with. These L plates fasten into where the screws are here, and then you can fasten it to the box or whatever you're going to mount it on. I've started to mount my tools on wooden boxes because that way I get storage underneath. Early days yet, so but I'm moving that way, put drawers in and things. So I will change the bandsaw here to being on a box with wheels on that I can move it around, because I've got a very compact and bijou workshop here. Worthwhile noting that I changed the bandsaw. I initially bought from Aldi the Ferrex one, and I was very pleased with that. It just, when I tried to cut some stock about 2 inches thick or above, it started to struggle. This one has got a lot of power, and is a worthwhile addition to my workshop. It's bigger than I thought it would look visually, but it does fit in my little slot I've got for it, and when I've mounted it on a box it will be even better. So this is the first part. I'll perhaps do some cutting, some stock later on, but first impressions are I'm very pleased with the bandsaw. It works well. The blade guides are interesting. You know, the jury's out as to how long they're going to last, but they don't turn, there's no bearings on them at all. They do turn of a sort, but they're more like having people put sacrificial wood sometimes on the bearings to allow you to reduce the blade movement. But with this saw, because of this type of guide, it does allow you to go down to 1/8 of an inch, which I found was one of my requirements. If I wanted to go for another saw with that 1/8 of an inch cutting capacity, I'd have had to pay a lot more for the actual bandsaw. But for 400 quid, as I say, with a 10% discount from Screwfix, it's you get an awful lot for your money, and first impressions are it's very good. So perhaps cover some more later in a video, but that's it for now.